Hello, this is Thursday, November the 3rd, 2022. This is the Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. Getting into this part of the day. Temperature around here, since it's afternoon now, has warmed up to about 70 with a high of 74. Don't forget about the mask. Again, this is just precautionary suggestion. You know, if your positivity rate for COVID-19 is above 5%, the suggestion by the CDC, Center for Disease Control, is that you wear a mask if you're going to be out in public and around people. Another flash from the CDC, monkeypox. I don't know exactly how to phrase this, is that it already had raised some alarms, but now it's being looked at on an international level for being contagious. Monkeypox again. Okay. Lakers won against the Pelicans. It's going to be kind of like back and forth. I know some of my international people are probably in bed catching some shut-eye, or that beauty sleep, beauty rest. But be that as it may, we'll just pass these items on. This is the Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. November 3rd, 2022. Holiday month packed full of things. Want to do a little follow-up on some things that I mentioned previously earlier. In regards to Takeoff and his being shot and killed. Takeoff's real name was Kirshnak Kari Ball. He was with Quavo, another member of the three-member group Migos, of which Offset is also a member but was not performing with them recently. But Quavo was there when Takeoff got shot in Houston, Texas. So the ruling has come down that the shooting was accidental. Well, accidental is not the case. If someone pulls out a firearm and starts shooting, then they intended to shoot somebody, ergo by implication. But he was struck by a stray bullet that was fired into the crowd. So that's coming from the coroner's office in Houston, Texas, via the police department there. Ruled as a innocent bystander. He was not involved with any criminal activity at the time. Since we are right close to the midterms, and President Biden did give a State of the Democracy address, Monday, kind of flips back to the question, because a large percentage of the Republicans that are on the ballot for this election are the same ones that were in opposition to the 2020 election results. So it's a time to be cautious, according to President Biden, and to keep democracy alive, to epitomize his speech in some areas. But it would stand to reason that if a large percentage of Republicans, as they say, are banking to take control of the Senate or of the House, whichever the case may be appropriate, that know a little bit of background about the person that you're voting for, and be aware of where and how they stand in regards to all the things that took place when Donald Trump was president of the United States in regards to January 6th assault on the Capitol. Attitude check. Facebook. This is a situation, especially since I'm broadcasting, or since I'm airing my show, The Side Show, on Facebook and also on YouTube. Facebook includes Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. YouTube in itself, a Google product. Mark Zuckerberg came up with the idea of Meta, virtual reality. Last month was a year ago, and he had subsequently stated that $10 billion would go into it, and it was supposed to be an 8-year project. But once it was launched and the quarters start rolling around, financial quarters start rolling around, the last quarter, Q3, it was still at a loss. The first quarter declared a loss. So people are wondering, and that's people with more money than me, are wondering, when is he going to wake up to what's going on? The logic, counting dollars, since as some people say it does not grow on trees and it does not print itself, would stand the reason that, you had the billionaires, and I probably wanted to say this before, and it's probably a short side detour. Rich people are rich. You might have the richest person in the richest room, billionaire. This person might have 200 billion. The next person might have 190 billion, and the next person have 175, and the next person 165, on down. So you get to those people that are worth 2.4 billion, and et cetera, et cetera. But nobody has it all. You might have your share, plus you might think a little bit of somebody else's, but as much as it is out there, nobody has it all. The richest man in America could be compared to the richest man in Africa. The richest woman in America could be compared to the richest woman in Africa or any other country, China, whatever the case may be. So Mark Zuckerberg has been just spending money, but he can do that based on the fact that he has a 55% controlling share over what goes on with Meta, formerly Facebook, and his word goes. But whereas he was in the top numbers for being a billionaire, 70% of that is gone. So where he's at now is considerably a lot lower, although he's still in the billionaire rankings. And people are saying, whoa, Mark, stop, Mark. Don't throw no more money into this. Because if you got an 8-year project, and I think the 10 billion that he had planned on spending came up to 15 billion or something like that. And people are just saying, well, when are you going to pump the brakes? You keep coming up with new ideas. I mean, it's just like any of us. I can, always kind of reference myself because I'm a senior and I'm on a fixed income. I know that fixed income is for a fixed amount of time. And if I want certain things, I'm going to have to regulate how I'm going to get them. But if I just go out and spend it all on popcorn and peanuts, the things that I really need are not going to be taken care of. So with 7 more years to go on this Meta project for virtual reality, new ideas being what they are, those people that have some say in the matter in regards to Meta, formerly Facebook, are saying break that down to about 5 billion a year and you might make the whole 8. But as you are going right now, that's not going to happen. So you get a little back and forth depending on what article you read, what article you saw, whose channel you're looking at, whose news outlet published what article. But the facts remain. That's a lot of money. Talking about people And this is something again. I'm switching gears, switching subjects. We're not on Facebook anymore, talking about Mark Zuckerberg anymore. Talking about people and things that they say and do. I know when I was coming up, they had the expression, put your brain in gear before you open your mouth. Or start your brain before you put your mouth in gear. But anyway, give things a pause before you just, boom, blurt out, which I said, nobody's perfect. And then you got to make apologies, hopefully quicker than you really want to, but still get it out there that that was not your intentions. Then you said what you said, et cetera, however it needs to be arranged. So now we're on another person, Kyrie Irving. It seems that right on the heels of everything else that's going on with Kanye West, he comes out and advocates or promotes a film that's considered to be anti-Semitic. And before I get into the comments of everybody else, because, you know, inside the NBA encompasses Ernie Johnson, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq. So right away, as soon as the news hit that Kyrie had done this on his Twitter, they all waded in, and I think Charles and Shaq said he was an idiot, and, you know, Kenny had his 2 cents in it, but they still agreed that this was not something that, you know, you would want to be associated with. So in this particular article, it didn't reference, just like I didn't reference what Kanye said about the Jewish community. You know, I didn't quote him on that, but now that things have gone forward the way they have, he said he DEFCON 3 all of them, which is a military term for something like scorched earth. And it always puzzles me. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. I don't think it's something that I would have to apologize. But how can a man stand up there and say something against one culture when you know your family is involved in that culture? Either way. That always baffled me about Kanye. So it's out there. So anyway, coming back to Kyrie. So I didn't have the information as to what the film or the movie was until after I looked it up. But let's just get through this part about inside the NBA and these comments on Kyrie. I got some more stuff to go with it anyway. Ernie Johnson hits the nail on the head as Inside the NBA tackles Kyrie Irving controversy. To the surprise of no one, the Inside the NBA crew, Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal, had strong opinions on the recent saga involving Nets guard Kyrie Irving, which means I just think also saw something about Steve Nash being let go, who used his Twitter account to promote an anti-Semitic film last Thursday. So I'll come back to that. Barkley and O'Neal didn't pull any punches in ripping Irving, with both hosts referring to him as an idiot. Barkley expressed his disappointment. And see, it wasn't too long ago that Kyrie was going against the system in regards to getting his vaccination for COVID and sat it all out. They played in LA where that was not a stringent requirement, but when it came to New York, he had to be vaccinated, so he didn't play. So here we go. Barkley expressed his disappointment that the NBA didn't suspend Irving, while Shaq called out Irving for being divisive and not caring about ramifications of his actions. But it was Johnson's words that felt the most powerful to the writer of this. I must think Kyrie just part of this. I just think we have lost our way. I think, but I've forgotten what it's like to put the thought process into If I put this out there, who am I going to hurt? They're giving no thought to that. Where's civility these days? Where's empathy? And it's a worrisome road and it's a dangerous road we find ourselves on. So that was Ernie's comment, which I agree, which is why I said, put your brain in gear before you open your mouth, or put your brain on before you put your mouth in gear, what you're going to say. Because, you just whip it on back like that. We talk about humble pie and everything else. So the movie, Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. Now, I've not seen it, but got movies like Black Klansman. And in my generation, we're familiar with like Black Like Me. There was a book about a white man that passed for black. A lot of different scenarios, but I do distinctly remember at one period that there were conversations about black people being of Hebrew descent, basically because of geography and various other things like that. And I think largely had to do with the complexion of their skin. But in modern times being this century, you have Sammy Davis Jr., who I think converted to Judaism. So there are real live examples of people of color who have embraced Judaism, but not in the sense, but now I haven't seen the film, so I have to reserve whatever opinions and comments about it, because I haven't seen it, but I'm just referencing other incidences that I know personally about that I'm familiar with, where these kind of things, black culture is referenced with the Jewish culture and there's some blending or interaction or whatever. But here's something I learned early on as a young man. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Jewish population makes up maybe 10%. It used to be back in the day, but they control 90% of the money. So I'm just saying, these are proven facts. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, name any family you want to name. Money, however they got it, I'm not discussing that. I'm saying how much they control. Just to be a group of people unique to their own culture. So the follow-up on all this with Irving is he did render an apology, okay? And the Nets rendered an apology as well, which resulted in Kyrie pledging $500,000 to the Anti-Defamation League. And the Nets organization, I don't think it was the NBA, I think it's the Nets organization, maybe the NBA, but either one of the organizations pledged $500,000 as well. So maybe somebody heard what somebody was saying. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, since we're talking about democracy, President Biden, not too long ago, it's hit the news items about President Biden being upset with Zelensky, President Zelensky of the Ukraine, well, for lack of a better expression, his lack of gratitude. So if for some reason it slipped past you how much money the United States has been pouring into the Ukraine, let's just take this one number, $1 billion, that President Biden told President Zelensky he would give him in a phone conversation. So anyway, I guess maybe President Zelensky had his own wish list or own shopping list, which he immediately began, or in the same conversation, shared with President Biden as to what else he wanted. Because at one time he was asking for a lot of military air support. And if not air support, then some devices that would then to air attack defense. So the story goes that President Biden was upset, which I can understand, it's kind of like, and I'm reaching here just to have a little sense of humor so it's not as raw as it really sounds, but like the story I gave you about Snoop Dogg having somebody roll joints for him, and it was anywhere from a half a pound to a pound, and a pound is like the size of a loaf of bread. So anyway, it's like giving somebody half a pound of herb, and they look at you and say, "Dad, you ain't got no rolling papers?" You know what I mean? Like, I just gave you a pound of herb. I mean, find your own rolling papers. So anyway, getting back to the original conversation, President Biden gives President Zelensky of Ukraine $1 billion. Buy some of those things. Take that $1 billion and buy you some items that you're getting ready to read off to me. Spend $1 billion or some of it and buy some somewhere. Go shopping. Tell people you got the money and they'll send it. I can pay for it. It's just like the same thing Aaron Johnson was saying, taking that pause, before you just let your emotions just run all out there with you without thinking what it was or however it was or what it could have killed, it could have had, it could have been, or whatever, I don't know. But it's just the times in which we're living. A lot of people want to put it on COVID. Maybe that's true. 2019, 2020, going up till now, and we still can't say that we got a sufficient enough handle on it that it stays under 5%. And here come monkeypox right up on the back alley of it. And information still coming out of China as to how it started. So let's just switch gears a little bit. YouTube has been publishing a lot of video and interview content on Lauren London related to her relationship with Nipsey Hussle after Nipsey Hussle was killed and what's going on with her now. So it kind of precludes that if like you're saying, empathy or sympathy for anybody that's been through a tragedy or hard incident in their life, and you don't know all the facts or don't know what's going on, this is a good opportunity to get on YouTube and spend a few minutes looking at those things that interest you. I think the one that's prevailing right now is the one that's being shared is about her and Nipsey and their relationship. These things are generally anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long, unless it's like a interview with some podcast person or something like that. Then it might go a little bit longer. But that's the situation, which takes me over to Vanessa Bryant. They were celebrating Halloween time with Paul Gassell and his family. But most recently, since we just hit the 1st of November, and since she is of Hispanics, Mexican culture, background, family situation particularly, November 1st and November 2nd are the days when the Mexican community culture celebrates Day of the Dead, if I'm saying it correctly. So Vanessa had a special dress, gown, or something like that made, or someone made it for her. And it had a crown with 24 stars, and there was 6 other embalsaments on the dress, both related to Kobe and Gianna. So one thing I did learn from taking a few minutes to look at it and see video of her wearing the dress and the photographer taking pictures and makeup, et cetera, for Day of the Dead, is that November 1st in the Mexican community is for children that have passed away. And November 2nd is for adults that have passed away. And we know that Kobe and Gianna and 7 others lost their lives in a helicopter crash in January of 2020. So all the things have transpired in regards to that, her efforts to honor and celebrate, their lives has been forthcoming in the media. And money that has been awarded her has gone toward the Mamacita Foundation, Basketball Foundation, and her efforts inside the community to give back and make people aware of all the things that basketball contributes to the lives of young people. So that's just a small summary. Wednesday, Powerball jackpot sits at 1.2. A friend of mine told me now it's 1.5 billion. And 2 Louisville area players won a $50K each on Monday. So here we are. Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. This is The Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. That's it. Hashtag.